Is this a done deal? There are some people saying that the government's got to do some due diligence. Do you expect this? We can bank on this, James, because we had quite a move in the stock yesterday.
Well, we feel very comfortable that we can bank on it.
And by the time we're done, they'll make 25% of the country's ingredients for generic pharmaceuticals.
This new agreement, my administration is using the Defense Production Act to provide a $765 million loan to support the launch of Kodak Pharmaceuticals.
Today, we just witnessed one of the most parabolic movements in an individual stock that I've seen this entire year. Heck, we're in one of the most important earnings seasons thanks to this pandemic, and I'm listening to conference calls, making deals, buying stocks, but none of us in our chat group could get our eyes off Kodak today. In fact, in just under 5 days, the stock went up over 2,000%. It was halted more than 10 times this morning, and now it's become the most precedent conversation amongst everybody on Twitter right now, leading to questions. Is there a pump and dump happening here? Is this a scam? Should the SEC be looking into it? And we're going to go over all the news around this right now, folks. So let's jump Welcome back. Passive income investors, I like to just unbelievable insanity. If you put $10 in this stock 5 days ago, you would be up over $200. Heck, if you put a couple thousand in it, you're likely banking $250,000 today. But something tells me you probably weren't that lucky, because in between all this crazy price action, the stock's been halted so many bloody times, you wouldn't have even been able to get in or out. Considering the stock hit a high of something like $60 this morning, only dropping on every other halt all the way down to where it sits right now at 33. And like I said, I've been refreshing this page over and over, and just look at the volatility behind this stock. So what the heck is a camera company that's been going bankrupt for the last decade? I mean, look at this chart, guys. If you bought this stock back in 2014, 2013 timeframe, you'd be down roughly almost 90%, going all the way back to those 5-year highs, literally within 5 days. So what are they doing? Well, it all came from a little match ignition of something that Trump said yesterday. So I want to listen to this news really quick, and then we're going to break this down further.
This new agreement, my administration is using the Defense Production Act to provide a $765 million loan to support the launch of Kodak Pharmaceuticals. It's a great name when you think of it. Such a great name. It was one of the great brands in the world. Then people went digital and Kodak didn't follow. But now under very extraordinary leadership, they are following. But it's a breakthrough in bringing pharmaceutical manufacturing back to the United States. Under this contract, our 33rd use of the Defense Production Act, remember when you were saying, I didn't use it enough, Kodak will now produce generic active pharmaceutical ingredients, which is a big deal. Using advanced manufacturing techniques, Kodak will also make the key starting materials that are the building blocks for many drugs in a manner that is both cost competitive and environmentally safe. Will be competitive with almost all countries and soon with all countries. Once this new division is fully operational, in addition to all of the other plants that we've opened with other companies throughout the United States recently, it will produce as much as 25% of all active ingredients needed to make generic drugs in the USA. It's a big number, 25%. This agreement will directly create 360 new jobs at Kodak's factory in Rochester. That's just in the initial phase. And in Minneapolis, a place I have gotten to know very well, and it's a great place.
So yes, folks, this company got a $700 million loan, not some grant or anything like that. They are going to have to pay that back. So I don't know why everyone's so excited as the Kodak camera company starts shifting into pharmaceuticals and drugs. But this price action leads to what we would usually call criminal activity, or would generally be defined as a pump and dump. I have never seen price action like this that didn't lead to investigation from the SEC, but considering this was something that came out of Trump's mouth, it is no surprise that the stock is skyrocketing. And I'll kind of skim through the article real quick as well to show you guys the highlights, but what I'm finding really funny is the endless tweets of people losing money, people making money, and this one is probably a good definer of a lot of the concerns that I have, that simply says, this is what is known as a financial crime. It won't be prosecuted. Someone was was alerted to a government drug deal in the works with Kodak. Got in around $2 a share, and then 2 days later, it was holding worth around $43, a return of 20 times. The second financial crime will be no investigation. I guarantee you, if they look into Trump's office right now, there are probably people that made deals around this news, and it will not surprise me that over the next coming months that we don't hear some illegal activity was going on that the SEC will be investigating, because this price action tends to lead to an insane amount of eyeballs here, folks. Now, do not let me understate the validity of this deal either, as now Kodak is going to be responsible for 25% of the pharmaceutical manufacturing in the US, even aside from the CV virus here, and that is some pretty massive news. And keep in mind, that is just the compounds, not the drugs themselves, but this is one heck of a turnaround story, and I would like to go straight to the horse's mouth, to the people that are pulling this deal off, so we can get the nitty-gritty details that we're not hearing on Bloomberg or these CNBC headlines. And before we dive down into this, I just want to remind you guys that you should really consider joining our private WhatsApp group, because we've had some pretty insane conversations, not only around like some of the real estate investment trust earnings, some of the fact that I was picking up Facebook this morning, and a lot of other news surrounding Kodak. I mean, the value just in our conversations to hear from 6- and 7-figure investors is fascinating, and you're going to get a lot more than that by signing up. You can either pay $2 a month or join the lifetime subscription over at the Passive Income Educator here, folks. But nonetheless, let's go to the horse's mouth and see what we can't learn.
Out of business, but who's using film with these with these smartphones now? So they got this huge manufacturing, 1,200 acres, 16 million square feet of manufacturing, 88 manufacturing reactors, a wastewater treatment facility. They're ready to go with specialty chemicals, which aren't for film, which aren't that different than the key starting materials, KSMs, that we get from China for pharmaceuticals.
You got it. That's exactly what it's about. So we did, and so about 2 months ago, I was in Air Force One with the president. He signed an executive order to allow my agency, DFC, to invest in the United States. And it's to invest in the United States to reshore critical industries, things that we need if there's ever going to be another pandemic, so that we're not caught in the same place. And if you look at drugs, 90% of the drugs that we take today are generics, and they are almost all made overseas. And so we said, if we're going to reshore and bring things back, and we're going to have safety and security going forward, we need to change that. So Kodak was referred to us because we actually found somebody that wanted to place a big advance order for pharmaceuticals, and Kodak had been considering creating a division focused on pharmaceuticals. And like you said in your beginning, they have all of these factories that are there producing chemicals. What are you doing when you produce film? You're producing chemicals. And so they have a massive campus not used. They're going to reconvert it, and by the time we're done, they'll make 25% of the country's ingredients for generic pharmaceuticals. So we will not be dependent on anybody else for those key generic pharmaceuticals.
A value, Adam. It's just like too good to be true. So these aren't being utilized fully, I guess, these manufacturing facilities. So you're going to need people to work there, and you're going to have to actually, this is going to create jobs in this country as well.
Right. Upstate New York, blue-collar jobs. I mean, one of the advantages here is when you think about manufacturing capability, where does it sit? It sits in blue-collar America, where jobs are needed. And so our ability here right now, and this is the first one, is in Rochester. We're creating 360 jobs direct in Rochester, 1,200 jobs indirectly to build all the facilities, to build them out and renovate. So you're going to see a revitalization in a place like Rochester, and I think that will move on to other cities as well.
With all this news, there's definitely excitement and reason for Kodak to have a big return in its stock value. But should you be buying it here? I don't think so, guys. This is a $700 million loan. They're going to be spending years turning the whole company around to get caught up on pharmaceutical manufacturing. And depending on how profitable they're going to be, I don't know where the stock price should sit. But you're going to hear crazy stories of people losing money, people making money. And there's probably people sitting in Trump's office listening to that news, doing some insider trading, which wouldn't surprise me if we see some SEC investigations coming in the woodworks. Now, there might not be any investigation whatsoever, but something tells me they'll be looking into who was doing what during these deals here, folks. Now, in light of all of this, I would love to know in that comment section below what the heck you think about this. Were you trading it? Were you buying it? And don't worry, guys, tomorrow we're going to have a lot of exciting news going on. I'm going to try and do a double video release with my favorite real estate investment trust posting earnings today. And we got Facebook coming out tonight at 5 p.m. Some real big stuff to pay attention to. As I mentioned, I picked up some Facebook shares, but if you want to know what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, you're going to have to join that chat group. But stay cool, stay awesome, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.